Hey everybody, I'm JP Hervis. Thanks for joining us. With me is my colleague, Brandon Forshino, the owner and operator of Out of the Dust Marketing. I'm JP Hervis, founder and operator of Brand Story Communications. And we are really honored to be joined today by Josh Hirsch, who is the Director of Mission and Communications at Susan G. Komen in Florida. Now, we all know as communications professionals, really anybody right now in the world, that the coronavirus is not only a health issue, it's an economy issue. And we look how it affects big businesses and how they react in crisis communications. And we certainly know how it's already tremendously impacting small business. But today's episode is about nonprofits. And that's why I wanted to bring on my longtime friend, Josh Hirsch, to talk a little bit about what Susan G. Komen is doing, maybe provide some advice for you nonprofits out there, or you marketing professionals like Brandon and I who represent nonprofits through our agencies. So to kick it off right away, Josh, and this is something that we talked about, Brandon and I, in our last episode, when the epidemic became a pandemic and became something that we basically knew was going to be overwhelming and unsafe. What was the first thing that Susan G. Komen of Florida had to do? What was your first response to coronavirus?
So on March 14th, we were slated to have a walk, a More Than Pink walk in Orlando, in Altamont Springs. We had gone up the Wednesday previously before to start our remote offices, start the last minute planning. And at that point, things were starting to get a little itchy. By Wednesday evening, I think the NBA had canceled the season. And at that point, it was like, okay, we really need to start thinking this. By Wednesday afternoon, I was at 100%. Let's go forward. We still need to move forward with the event. By that evening, I had major hesitations. Thursday morning, and keep in mind, Wednesday, we had multiple conference calls via Zoom, like we are doing now, with our executive board, with members from our headquarters, our regional director, starting to walk through contingencies, walk through plans. And coming out of that meeting, everyone was like, all right, let's move forward. By Thursday, 10 a.m., Thursday morning breakfast, we're like, we can't, we need to postpone this event. Thursday's 10 o'clock conference call, we walked out of that, all of us saying, okay, we need to put a pause on our event 48 hours from now when we're about to have thousands of people descend upon Cranes Roost Park in Altamont Springs. We've got sponsor activations, we've got partner activations, but we knew that we couldn't, because especially working with a population that has a compromised immune system, it wouldn't be smart for us to put those women and men in danger of injuring their health just to show support for the cause. So we immediately said, all right, let's put everything on hold. And then it was immediate, contingency plan, crisis communications. Got to contact sponsors, got to contact partners, got to contact donors, participants, team captains, vendors, all saying, this is on pause. This is what we're having to do. We had to develop immediate messaging to get out to everyone. It was probably in my almost 15-year career in fundraising and nonprofits and communications, the most intense 12 to 24 hours of crisis communications I've ever had to deal with. And now we're a week out from that. Every day it's almost crisis communications, because before, I would plan out a month of content. We'd schedule that out. We know, all right, the theme of this month is this. I've got this event coming up in 90 days. So I start backing it out with my 60-day messaging, my 45-day messaging. And now it's literally, I'm on the phone or via Zoom with our communications committee multiple times a day talking about, all right, well, here's the post we're going to line up for the next 12 hours. What do you all think? Here's the email, campaign that we're working on right now. We're shifting from this to this. How does this all look? Whereas before I worked in some autonomy, we would have our strategies and I could go forward. Now we're having 4 or 5 sets of eyes look at every single little piece we're putting out there, because everything is in such dire, needs as far as, getting the right information out to everyone. What is the changing landscape? It's almost every couple hours, something's new.
And with your brand, it's such a trustworthy brand. You guys do such an amazing job and such an important cause that touches everyone's life. And there's a lot of brand trust there that you have to establish. I almost have started to think to not call this crisis communications right now. This is just communications. It's just marketing. It's just public relations, because it's the new everyday. Because unlike, to your point, Josh, where you're planning, and Brandon, you do this too, I do this with clients, whether it's for media relations or social media marketing or email marketing, any form of content marketing, you're planning out these editorial calendars, 30, 60, 90 days. You can barely plan out 30 hours because of the way the news cycle consistently changes. So this is one of those areas where, you know, experience really helps. Experience working in the news business, experience representing all different types of clients. Brandon, quickly here, what's one of the things that you talked about and have come to realize as you've worked with your nonprofits here over the last week and a half, 2 weeks of dealing with coronavirus?
Well, like you said, Josh, I mean, it's an hour by hour and a day by day thing. And we really pride ourselves on a proactive content marketing strategy, right? And now we're very reactive, something that we have completely neglected and really told people that's not a very good place to be, is reactive, right? And so right now we've kind of have a long-standing every day 4 o'clock call with everybody at our nonprofits, and just kind of keeping a daily call in place, just to, like you said, just to have a committee in place to see what updates have happened that day. And with my team, it's an everyday thing. We're talking every day, multiple times a day. You know, we have our checkpoints where we're getting together and just saying, okay, when someone's free, raise your hand, and then we'll throw you something. And that's kind of how we all are right now, is everyone's kind of coming together and everyone is servicing the same accounts, and we're all working together. So it's been definitely disruptive to some point, but I wouldn't say disruptive, because it's a new opportunity for us to really think about an evolution of our company. And that kind of brings up a good point about, in general, right now what we're seeing is, you know, businesses and nonprofits alike, and any organization has to really come out of their comfort zone if they want to make it out alive. This is the time to try things different. It's time to do things differently. It's time to do things you wouldn't normally do. And it's an opportunity for businesses to adopt a new service offering or a new program and monetize those opportunities to be innovative and creative while still making an impact and a difference in the community.
And you know, in my case with one of our nonprofits, we had our biggest event coming up that was supposed to go on this past Thursday. So we had the event in West Palm Beach set, ready to go, and it had to just be canceled. And we were going to, you know, our team was going to live produce it. And then almost simultaneously, we were about to kick off a campaign for the first time ever in an entirely different city. In the expansion of this nonprofit they were utilizing, both elements were canceled. And now, as we look and plan as much as we can in the long term, we may not be able to have the event at all within a reasonable set of time. So we're looking at just producing a streaming, almost television show once it gets safe enough for people to maybe get back together, or just do an entire program just via streaming, just via Zoom instead. And so that brings up, you know, you said it earlier, Josh, fundraising, events. It is the heartbeat of the operation, and events by their very nature are totally against what people are being advised for health. What are you doing right now? What do you advise for other charities, other marketing professionals to do and think about? I think you're probably going to say a lot like Brandon said, think out of the box for that all-important goal of fundraising consistently.
Absolutely. We can't take the foot off the pedal. You need to continue forward with your fundraising strategy. So we had, once again, we put together a 12-month calendar of plans and how all the communications fall into place. We had slated to do a Mother's Day appeal. And actually this past week, we were supposed to meet and start talking about what does that look like, the various multi-channel touch points we're going to have, completely pivoted away from that and said, we need to do an immediate appeal now. We know that there's still a great need for women and men battling breast cancer, especially for our treatment assistance fund. Women and men are out of jobs. I mean, they are just not able to work, but the need to continue getting their screenings, or need to continue to get their various treatment options doesn't stop. So we completely pivoted away from that ask. We drafted a new email appeal, our new direct mail appeal, various social components. I created various new landing pages on our site, because in addition to being, you know, we need funding, but I also want to be a source of information. I want women and men battling breast cancer to look at Komen Florida and say, okay, well, they're leading the way from a resource standpoint. No one knows anything yet about COVID-19. I mean, you know, as Brandon and I were talking about, we're 5 days in, we're 10 days in, like this is all brand new stuff. So there are some research studies starting to get out there related towards oncology, but nothing, you know, very, very little specific on our niche, you know, talking about breast cancer. We know that various cancers and treatments perform differently based upon the coronavirus, but everything is so new. So we still are constantly every day putting out new information that is beneficial. We're moving forward with our fundraising appeal. And what I've noticed interesting is that people are giving now. People are communicating and engaging with our content. We're having email open rates that I have not seen in years. I'm getting engagement, from 20,000 opens, 5,000 of those opens were from forwards. We're getting people, I'm getting lapsed donors from 10 years ago who had never engaged with us since participating in a race, which is a transactional donor who's buying something. They're buying their race registration. We're making donations of $50 and haven't communicated with us all in that time frame. If you as an organization aren't putting together it's not even a 30-day strategy right now. It's a 30-hour strategy.
Right.
You need to be looking at it day by day. How are you, as you said, JP, your organization had to pivot away from their live 300 plus person in-person event that was at a major, arts organization combining, it's an incredible event that now has gone away.
Right.
So how do you continue to not even push forward the fundraising content, but also your mission focused content? And to me, that's really important right now.
Right. And for nonprofits like yours and any dealing in healthcare, nothing's an easier time, but it's a more relatable time for you to be able to know, okay, we have to connect everything back over to the coronavirus. And that's a shorter bridge for people to walk. For the nonprofits out there who in no way are involved in healthcare, there's still these fluctuating needs as everything develops. There's one that we represent who helps folks with different developmental diseases. And they're just asking for toilet paper. They're just asking for some computer donations, some laptop donations, because they also run a school. So their need, once again, is also connected back over when maybe they would have just been asking for general funds to continue the mission. They have the specific needs. So I think it's really important for nonprofits to don't lose sight of the overall mission need, but of course, answer the in the moment need. Those things have to still happen at the same time. And if you do something that Brandon and I will sit here, and Josh, I want to hear what you think about it, but I think I know how you feel. Brandon and I will sit here and pound the gavel about constantly is over communicate. You heard what Josh just said about record email openings and social media engagement. We are seeing it with our clients, both nonprofit and for-profit. Brandon, I know that you're seeing it as well. So if social media, email marketing, the content marketing strategy was ever meant for anything, it was meant for times like this, as people are spending more time than ever here, or they're spending time in their home office where their boss isn't looking over the shoulder so they can mess around on social media more. So you have a chance, and this is your only personal engagement. You don't have the events where you can shake hands and kiss babies anymore. So you got to shake hands and kiss babies using this and utilizing social media and keep making those emotional appeals for everything in the moment and in the long-term mission. Brandon, you've seen the numbers as well.
Yeah, totally. And I think, the thing to note about what you're talking about, Josh, and as well, JP, is that things are still happening regularly in the world. It's not just coronavirus. People are still being diagnosed with breast cancer. People are still in need of food. There's still food insecurity more than ever, right? There's still homeless people that are circumstantially homeless. There's still people that can't afford healthcare, and there's the need that has already been there missionally is not gone. And if anything, this has prevented some of the service offerings. So I think it's really important to align yourself with how COVID-19 has impacted your nonprofit and your stakeholders, and then have the appeal very real time to match the actual needs that are reflective of that. And to your point, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing about 1 to 500%, compared to the last period of stats, from opening emails to post engagement, post reach, website traffic, donations. And in a way, it's how long will this ride? I don't see it slowing down. I think we as a community and a world are really being open to come together right now. And this is really cool to see how, nonprofits are still able to go against, an untraditional way of fundraising and communication and still capitalize on it.
Yeah, and I know nonprofits, there's concern there too, because, you get in the summer, which is usually a little bit of a slower season for fundraising, but how much are people going to travel? Are they still going to be around? And I would say this on a media relations front, that the basis doesn't change. And one of the places that nonprofits have such an advantage over for-profits is finding that emotional tail that will connect with the person at home, that will increase your probabilities of earning media coverage. It's still there. That was alive and true, and one of the best tools to utilize for nonprofits before coronavirus and certainly during coronavirus. And there's going to be news stories coming up. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a friend of mine who runs a charity that helps human trafficking victims and domestic violence victims. And the media is already coming to her, and we're already talking about how domestic violence is going to increase because women who can't escape the home of their abuser where it's difficult already, it's even more difficult now because you're quarantined, you have less places to go, and maybe you don't want to reach out because of health precautions. So her number of calls for domestic violence cases is going like this as coronavirus and shutdowns and quarantines continue to spread around the country. So thinking in media relations terms, I've already talked to her about, as soon as you get somebody that you're able to get out of the home and into one of the rental units that the charity has, let's go. Let's set up something with the news and bring that story to light, which will, of course, help other folks and also help this charity continue to continue the cycle of supporting the women who need it most in that particular case. You know, Josh, and I know that one of the things that you're doing too is helping provide that medical information for anybody who knows of or anybody who's battling breast cancer right now, someone who's beat breast cancer who might still have immune issues. I believe you guys did a live feed that I saw on your Facebook page with the doctor.
Yeah, we're using, our tools available to us. We're using this remote broadcasting. We're using streaming to still get our message out there and educate women and men who are going through the battle. So last week we had the opportunity for our executive director to sit down remotely with the director of the Breast Institute, the medical director of the Breast Institute at Good Samaritan Medical Center. That's where Komen Florida's statewide offices are located. And in that 45-minute conversation, we had, and what was key, so the steps to that, what we did it. So first, we created the event on Facebook so we could invite people to tune in. We then also, the day before, sent emails out to very specific segmented populations in our database saying, hey, tune in tomorrow. We believe that you're going to benefit from this information. If you have any questions, let us know ahead of time. And then during that broadcast, we had more live viewers than on any of our Facebook Lives than we've had in the past 12 months, because once again, A, people are home, so they're tuning in, but B, we're providing relevant information that people want to hear about what's happening now. So we're developing this into a series. We're doing one tomorrow on mental health and self-care during the age of COVID-19. We're working on one on with a nutritionist on eating for to improve your immune system. We've got some going on like how to stay not only mentally fit, but like physically fit at home. So we're gonna do some on yoga. We're working with our partners and sponsors throughout the state to bring forward also the medical coverage. So leveraging those relationships that we have with our current supporters to say, listen, we want to be seen as that resource for everyone. You have a great knowledge base. Let's use the technology available to us to share that. And we only think it's going to be better. As you're saying, now is the time to create content, but how are you going to create relevant content that your audience can connect with, both, with your organization's mission, but also to COVID-19?
And I would say, just kind of to wrap this up, just 2 points. One, if you have a business or nonprofit and you haven't invested into the development of modern day content and buy into the fact that live streams and interviews like this, or when people can start getting around each other shooting videos, is not important, take a look at it now. I mean, I saw a former client who's running a nonprofit who just posted about some needs of the folks in her home, and I called her and I said, just pick up the phone and do a selfie video real quick and make that human connection plea, or go and interview somebody that you're trying to help out and make that human connection plea. Don't worry about over editing. Don't worry about over producing. Get that information out there. And my second point here as we wrap is a point that we're going to make in all of these. Marketing is not marketing like it used to be. It never has been, and it's going to obvious now in this pandemic. You're running a newsroom. If you're an agency, every client that you have, you are running a newsroom on behalf of that client in that topic. If you're a person like Josh who does an exceptional job for Susan G. Komen, you're not just doing some general marketing in the old sense of, or advertising or PR. It's very specific. You're running a newsroom, getting that medical information out there constantly in ways people can make donations. And we'll wrap with this. Josh, if somebody wants to help out Susan G. Komen of Florida, where can they go? Where can they make donations to help you guys keep the amazing work going that you're doing?
Absolutely. You can go to komenflorida.org/COVID-19. That's a special fund that we've set up specifically to assist patients going through treatment. These patients qualify for financial counseling. They can qualify for some psychosocial and some additional, financial stipends. So that's komenflorida.org/COVID-19.
All right. I appreciate it. Brandon, as always, it's good to see you, pal. Everybody keep the good work going. If you have any questions, any ideas for our next video, please leave it in the comment section. You can direct message Brandon or I and let us know if you have some more ideas. Let's keep the ideas going. Things are tough. This is going to be a tough week, but we can lift people up, and communications is such a powerful tool. And there's a crisis communication call right there. Say another reason why we have to get off. But thanks everybody for watching. Josh, stay in touch, man. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Everyone be safe.
Yeah, take care, guys. All right. That happened last time too.
Yeah, no, Brandon, I think it's